All right, today we're cracking open the story of a truly fascinating creature, the blood clam. Now, on one hand, it's a prized delicacy around the world, but on the other, it has this fearsome reputation. So, what's the real story? Is it a biological wonder, or is it genuinely a dangerous meal?
So what gives it this title, the world's most dangerous clam? I mean, it's not like it has venom or a razor-sharp shell. The danger is actually hiding inside. It comes from its unique biology and how that biology really clashes with our modern world. But before we get into all the scary stuff, you gotta understand what makes this clam so special in the first place. This isn't just any old shellfish. It's an incredible survivor with a history that goes way, way back. I mean, just let that number sink in. 140 million years. Fossil records show that the ancestors of these clams first popped up in the early Cretaceous period. That means these things were burrowing in the mud when a T-Rex might have been walking the earth. That kind of longevity tells you this is a creature that is perfectly, and I mean perfectly, adapted to its environment.
And this is its secret weapon. It's the very thing that gives the blood clam its name, hemoglobin. Yep, that's the exact same iron-based protein that makes our blood red and carries oxygen around our bodies. But finding it in a mollusk? It's almost unheard of. And this isn't just some weird trivia fact. It is the absolute key to its survival.
And you can really see the difference here. Most mollusks, your average clam or oyster, they use a copper-based protein called hemocyanin. It makes their blood kind of bluish or even clear, and frankly, it's not all that great at carrying oxygen. But the blood clam, with its iron-based hemoglobin, it has a super efficient, bright red oxygen delivery system, just like ours.
So why does that matter? Well, that super efficient blood is its superpower. It allows the blood clam to live buried deep in dense, oxygen-poor mud where other animals, especially anything that might want to eat it, simply can't breathe. It's like it carved out its own private, safe little neighborhood to thrive in for millions of years. But as you're about to see, that very superpower becomes a huge liability once humans get involved.
And here's where the story takes a dark turn. The very things that make the blood clam a marvel of evolution also create a perfect storm for disease. It turns this ancient survivor into a very modern health risk. So how does a clam become so dangerous? It's a simple but pretty devastating four-step process. First, you have coastal waters that get polluted, often with raw sewage carrying human viruses like Hepatitis A or norovirus. Second, the blood clams, being filter feeders, just suck all that water in. And they don't just pass the viruses through, they bioaccumulate them, meaning the pathogens build up to really high, really dangerous levels inside their bodies. Third, people eat the clams, a lot of times raw or just barely cooked. And finally, those super concentrated viruses cause infection and can lead to massive outbreaks of illness.
And if you want a textbook example of just how bad this can get, we have to talk about the Shanghai outbreak of 1988. This event basically cemented the blood clam's dangerous reputation on the world stage.
Just look at how fast this all went down. In January of '88, these contaminated clams hit the Shanghai markets. By February, the city was in the grip of a full-blown epidemic. The healthcare system was completely swamped. And the final tally? It's just staggering. Nearly 300,000 people got sick with hepatitis A. This wasn't just a local problem. It became a global wake-up call for food safety.
So what was the weak link? Well, it was a clash between biology and culture. The traditional way to prepare these clams was to flash boil them, just a quick dip in boiling water for a few seconds. That keeps the meat tender and red, but it's nowhere near hot enough or long enough to kill the tough hepatitis A virus hiding inside.
And the scientific reports from that time left absolutely no doubt. This quote says it all. It was a simple, terrifying numbers game. The more of these tainted clams you ate, the greater your chance of getting very, very sick.
You'd think after Shanghai, the problem would have been solved, right? Well, not exactly. That event really just highlighted how tough it is to make these clams safe, because the old, standard methods, they just don't cut it.
So the main method used to clean shellfish is something called depuration. The basic idea is you take the live clams, put them in big tanks of clean, circulating seawater, and you just let them do their thing. Filter, filter, filter. The hope is that they'll naturally flush out all the bad stuff they've picked up. And this is a huge but, there's a critical flaw. Depuration works pretty well for getting rid of bacteria.
But viruses like hepatitis A, they are a whole different beast. They can actually bind to the clam's tissues and just hang on for a really, really long time. A standard 2-day depuration cycle is practically useless against them. So you're stuck with this really difficult choice. Standard depuration, as we see here, has low effectiveness against viruses. Flash boiling? That's a gamble, and it's inconsistent. You can, of course, cook them thoroughly, get them to 90 degrees Celsius for 90 seconds, and that'll kill pretty much anything. But it also makes the meat tough and ruins the texture and flavor people love. It's this constant trade-off between safety and quality, which is why people started looking for new solutions, like HPP.
And as if all that wasn't enough, the problem isn't just viruses anymore. Today's blood clams face a whole new menu of modern threats. We're talking heavy metals from industrial pollution, those nasty forever chemicals like PFAS that build up in the water, and of course climate change, which makes ocean waters warmer, the perfect breeding ground for more pathogens.
Okay, so it all sounds pretty bleak. But what does the future look like? Is there any way to make blood clams safe to eat without completely destroying what makes them so special? Well, the answer just might be found in some really cool technology.
I want you to meet high-pressure processing, or HPP. This is a total game changer. Forget heat. HPP uses absolutely immense pressure. We're talking up to 145,000 psi. To put that in perspective, that's like having 3 elephants standing on a dime. This incredible force literally crushes pathogens like viruses and bacteria into oblivion, all without cooking the food.
And the benefits are just fantastic. HPP basically solves that whole safety versus quality problem. It wipes out the dangerous viruses. But because there's no heat, it preserves the clam's fresh flavor, its delicate texture, and that vibrant red color. And hey, as a bonus, it also makes the meat pop right out of the shell and even extends the shelf life. It's a win-win-win.
Technology can also change how we grow them in the first place. Think about the old way, farming them out in the coastal mudflats where they're exposed to whatever pollution happens to be in the water. Now compare that to a new approach, recirculating aquaculture systems, or RAS. This is basically moving the clam farm indoors into a totally controlled, biosecure environment where you control the water quality. You can eliminate the risk of contamination right from the start. It's about building a better, cleaner clam from day one.
So, this brings us to the big question. We have this creature that is an absolute masterpiece of evolution. It outlasted the dinosaurs. It's tough, it's resilient, and it's perfectly adapted to its world. But its greatest threat, it turns out, is us. With new tools like HPP and cleaner farming methods, maybe, just maybe, it can finally overcome that last hurdle and become a delicacy that's not just a marvel, but is finally safe to eat.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.